sodas.
Hey, it's Emily Kutchins Adler, the Buttery Babe. Today we're making Irish soda bread. Okay, it's more American soda bread because it's really rich and delicious, but we'll pretend it's Irish. Ooh, I forgot to get the butter. Let's get that. So, we're gonna start with cold butter. Obviously very cold, I just opened it up out of the refrigerator. And this is 4 tablespoons of butter, and it's cold, and I diced it up earlier and put it in its cute little bowl. Let me read you all the ingredients and then we'll go over what we're doing. So this is 2 cups of all-purpose flour, 4 tablespoons of white sugar, 4 tablespoons of butter. We have a teaspoon and a half of baking powder and 3/4 of a teaspoon of baking soda. We have about 1/3 of a cup of raisins. You can use up to 2/3 of a cup, or you can leave them out. We have a tablespoon of demerara sugar. Yum. That's for the top. We'll talk about it a little bit. And 2 tablespoons of triple sec, and just about a tablespoon of flour. The first things we're gonna do is preheat our oven to 375. Done it. And get out a pie pan. Mine are all deep dish. You can use not a deep dish one, or you can bake it right on a baking tray. I just like to keep it extra round. So the recipe calls for a cup of buttermilk. I often like to bake last minute and I don't have specialty ingredients in the house, so we're gonna make our own buttermilk. We have just under a cup of milk, and now we're gonna add 1 tablespoon of white distilled vinegar, and it's 1 tablespoon per cup if you're making more. You can also use an equal amount, just about a cup to a tablespoon of yogurt with the live cultures in it, or if you have buttermilk powder, you can use that, and there'll be directions on the buttermilk powder package for how much to use. The thing about the buttermilk powder is once you open it, you need to put it back in the refrigerator, and I always forget that part, and then I don't have it. So that was a tablespoon of vinegar into my cup of regular milk. I use 2%, and I'm just gonna give it a stir, and it's gonna sit for 5 minutes while we get everything else together, and it'll get a little bit gross looking, but that's what it is. So buttermilk nowadays is a cultured milk, kind of yogurty, but in reality it would be the byproduct from actually making butter. We don't do that anymore. I mean, we still make butter, but when you buy buttermilk in the container, it's its own thing. The next thing we're gonna do is soak our raisins. This is an extra step, but I like them to be soft. So we're gonna take our 2 tablespoons of triple sec and pour them over our raisins so they can soften a little bit. You can use Grand Marnier, you can use orange juice, you can use hot water, you can use a little bit of rum, or you could just not soak them at all. So, the buttermilk is getting ready, the raisins are getting ready. Let's move on to what else we're doing. We're gonna take our 2 cups of flour and we're gonna add the baking soda and the baking powder and just give that a little mixy. I don't know why I don't have a spoon today, so we're using our measuring cup. Ding, 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 ding. Done. Now we're going to make this super easy because I don't like to make too much of a mess. So we're gonna do it right here in our KitchenAid, and that's got the flat paddle on it. So we're gonna put in the flour that we put in the baking soda and the baking powder, and we're gonna put in our sugar, and we're gonna put in our butter cubes. So they're little, they don't have to be perfect, they don't have to actually be cubes. Just chop up your butter, make sure it's really cold. We want it to stay cold because we don't want it to be fully incorporated. We want little bits in there like we were gonna make a biscuit or a scone, because it's gonna help make the soda bread super tender and rich and delicious. Stack up all my little bowls so we stay nice and neat. So we're gonna go down, and we're gonna put it on low to start with because we don't wanna be attacked. The butter is cold, so remember it's not gonna break up fully. We're just gonna mix it until it's little bits of pebble. You can also do this with a pastry blender, or if you're a crazy brute, with your hands. I've been called a crazy brute, I don't really mind. So the demerara sugar is this guy. It's a raw coarse sugar, so it's kind of like a brown sugar, but super crunchy. So we're gonna use that to finish the soda bread. You can also use sparkling sugar or just more table sugar, doesn't make a difference. I already have that, so we're gonna use it. So it's literally just been a few seconds in the mixer, and as you can see, the butter is just little chunks now. So now we're gonna add our buttermilk that we homemade. If you have actual buttermilk, go for it. And again, just on low until it comes together. It's gonna form a very coarse, sticky dough ball, like that. And then we're gonna turn it off. And now our raisins. So what we're gonna do with our raisins is they didn't use up all that liquid, so we're gonna drain it off, and then add it back in there. And then we have that little bit of flour, it's just about a tablespoon or so. We're gonna put it over the raisins and toss them up. You wanna do this anytime you're adding a fruit or even a chocolate chip to a batter, because it helps it stay even in the batter and not sink to the bottom, because we want the raisins to be equally distributed. And I used 1/3 cup of golden raisins because that is what I had in the house. You can use up to 2/3 of raisins, 2/3 a cup, depending on how raisiny you like the bread. Literally, that's what I had left in the box. I think the bunny eats them when I'm not looking, which is fine. Raisins are good for you. And you see that that's just come together. So we're gonna take our hands and clean off the dough paddle. Because we want to bake all that into goodness. It doesn't do us any good stuck to the bowl or to the blade. Yay! Now, we're gonna just move over to our little dish. I'm gonna give that a squirt of oil just so it doesn't stick. If you have baking spray or some non-stick spray, go ahead and use that. I don't have any today, so a little bit of oil. And we're gonna dump that in, getting everything up. See, clean ball. And then just with our hands, make it into a ball, a rough ball, don't worry. And then we're gonna flatten it out. We want it to be, this is a rough bread, remember. We want it to be about 1 inch to 1.5 inches thick. It's gonna rise from the baking powder and the baking soda. Now to get the beautiful shape that you often see at the store, you can take a knife, or I just use my my dough majiggy, and you're gonna make an X, and you want it to go almost all the way down. And now that's gonna go in the 370. So after you've made your X, or before, your choice, you're gonna take that tablespoon of sparkling sugar, or in our case the demerara sugar, or even just some more another tablespoon of table sugar, and sprinkle that all over the top. It's gonna make it crispy and crunchy and delicious. Now it's gonna go in that 375-degree oven for 35 to 40 minutes. We'll be back in a flash. Hey, it's Emily Kutchins Adler, the Buttery Babe. It's been 35 minutes since we put in our Irish soda bread. The house smells like a leprechaun's dream. Let's pull it out and taste it. The important part, at least in our house, is to turn off that oven. So, look at it. It's rich and delicious. You've got this beautiful crackly crust. Now this is burning hot. I just pulled it out of the oven, but we're gonna tip it out, maybe. Ooh. So that's why you're supposed to let stuff rest when you pull it out of the oven so it can naturally release. But you've met me, impatient. We're just gonna cut a wedge. Remember, this is a very Americanized version of soda bread because it's the kind I like. So let yours sit a little bit before you tip it out, but impatient. So I'm gonna cut a little wedgie, probably more than fits in my mouth, but oh well, I've been told I've got a big mouth. Gonna spread it with a little bit of butter. This one's homemade. Adler, get off the counter. On the counter. This is homemade butter. I would probably use Kerrygold in real life. And then I'm gonna shove it in my mouth because it's delicious. Emily Kutchins Adler, the Buttery Babe. Please be sure to follow me on Facebook, YouTube, Instagram, LinkedIn, and of course, my very own website, www.butterybabe.com.